Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are having a discussion here with Hasib Noor, one of our latest additions to the AlMaghrib Institute roster. One of the themes that we're going to be discussing is some lessons that we can derive from the leadership of some of the companions after the death of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Right? So one of the most common ones that we are familiar with is Abu Bakr. And so I know we were discussing before, and you were talking about how one of the common themes in the leadership of Abu Bakr Siddiq is the theme of unity. Why don't you kind of elaborate on that?
Well, one of the most powerful things in the life of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu is, as everybody knows, he was the closest person to the Prophet ﷺ after his own family.
Yep.
And Abu Bakr spent his living days and nights with the Prophet ﷺ all the way from Mecca to Medina, to the extent that the Prophet ﷺ would visit Abu Bakr twice a day, every single day. Aisha radiallahu anha mentioned that. But a lot of people don't realize.
Wait, twice a day, every day, just like out of just normal.
Yeah, he would come visit.
Buddies kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
So when he migrated, Aisha said the Prophet came to us in a time he never would come.
Okay.
He came at a time when the sun was very hot. It was like at noontime.
Yeah.
So that's why she said the Prophet used to visit us in the morning and in the evening.
Oh, for those of you who don't understand that concept, unless you've lived in the South,
Texas, for example.
Oh my God, you can feel the intensity of the sun at noontime. That's why, I mean, even in Malaysia, it's like at noontime, it's hard to go outside.
Yeah, so basically it was that hot that the Prophet ﷺ came to visit Abu Bakr radiallahu anh to give him the announcement of being his companion on his migration to Medina. So we know that about Abu Bakr, that he was the closest person to the Prophet ﷺ. But when it comes to the Prophet ﷺ now has passed away in history.
Yeah.
And it pretty much has traumatized the companions. And nobody knows what to do. Umar's there yelling, he's not gone. And Uthman is just in a state of shock. And everybody in Masjid al-Nabawi is in complete, almost trauma.
Would it be fair to say that it was kind of pandemonium, or is it more so like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened?
It's like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. And at the same time, they didn't know what to do. Umar is just sitting there in the Prophet's masjid in such a state of shock. He's saying this didn't happen in the first place. Gotcha. So it wasn't pandemonium, but it was just such a shock. People didn't know what to do. And the Prophet ﷺ, I think set all of that up for Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu to come. All of the guidance, all of that time with him, all of the companionship was now to set in motion. Okay. Abu Bakr comes in and he goes to the Prophet ﷺ, and even though he has that human emotion of showing sadness, it's as if Allah wanted to save him from that trauma of actually seeing the Prophet pass away. Right. He was with him the entire time in his life. But isn't it funny, he was not there when the Prophet actually passed away.
He was visiting somebody, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Who was like
he was in Sunh, which is an area, he was with his wife.
Yeah.
And then when he heard, he came to ride in. So it's as if Allah allowed Abu Bakr to be with the Prophet ﷺ in every moment that he ever faced in difficulty and hardship, but he saved Abu Bakr from seeing the Prophet ﷺ in that moment when he was, going on to the highest companionship. So Abu Bakr, when he comes in, it's a moment of absolute, sadness. Yeah. He's crying, and he kisses the Prophet ﷺ between his head, and he says, "You're so beautiful when you were living, and you beautifully passed away as well." So he had that moment of humanity, that moment of sadness. But after that, all of that companionship just came into play. The guidance of the Prophet ﷺ came into play when Abu Bakr walks into the masjid. It's almost as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala positioned this particular person to be that leader which would save the ummah from collapse.
All right, so he saved him, but what was the consequences of him not having to experience that trauma firsthand? Allowed him to do what?
When he didn't see the Prophet ﷺ experience that kind of trauma, it was an ability for him to overcome what everybody kind of already felt.
Okay.
That sadness of actually seeing the Prophet ﷺ pass away, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved him from that. So he was more, I guess you could say, composed than the rest of the companions.
And what was he able to communicate in that composure?
And like when he went up onto the minbar, the first thing he did is praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he told them the prayers upon the Prophet, peace be upon him. And the first thing that he told to them is the verse in the Quran. وَمَا مُحَمَّدٌ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ الرُّسُلُ. That Muhammad was not except a messenger that was sent like messengers before him. أَفَإِن مَاتَ لَوْ قُتِلَ انقَلَبْتُمْ عَلَىٰ أَعْقَابِكُم. That if he was killed or he passed away, would you then turn back on your heels from this faith? And if you do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need of us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward those who are constantly in a state of thankfulness.
Weren't those the same verses from Uhud?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So this shows you the juxtaposition of how powerful this moment was. That verse was revealed after the Battle of Uhud, when people thought the Prophet died. So when the Prophet ﷺ actually passes away, and Abu Bakr recites these verses, it strikes the hearts of the companions. And if you can imagine, you know, there's emotional triggers in our lives.
Yeah.
Somebody might touch you in your shoulder,
Yeah,
or might say
brings
something.
you right back to that moment.
Exactly.
Okay.
Of remember when a person's father passes away, or parent or family member,
Yeah.
and somebody does this to you,
Yeah.
it has an emotional trigger.
So essentially, him stating that
Right.
was emotionally brought everybody back to the emotional state of Uhud.
Exactly. And not only that, but it now adds to the experience of the reality
Yeah.
of understanding this verse in its true reality. The Prophet ﷺ now has passed away. So what did the companions do? It was as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala positioned Abu Bakr for him to recite this verse. And the companions said that every single one in the masjid started to repeat this verse, meaning they lived the Quran.
Yeah.
And they said they walked out of the masjid repeating the verse with tears in their eyes, but they had solace that Allah was going to carry this deen forward. And they said when Abu Bakr recited these verses, it was as if we heard these verses for the first time. That was the most powerful moment that Abu Bakr brought, and would kind of have the central theme for the time of his khilafah, even though it was short.
Yeah.
That he was going to bring unity to a nation, you know, on the verge of almost not understanding what the future would bring.
Gotcha. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Hasib, thanks for that wonderful explanation.
Allah bless you.
And inshallah, tune in for some of the other videos that we're going to be talking about on the same subject of leadership, but exploring that from various themes from the different companions that were leaders during this time. Assalamu alaikum, guys.
Assalamu alaikum.